It was just a dirty old man sending dirty old texts. Is this really enough?
Do you not think that this is part of the short-term pain for long-term gain if you're going to really implement an ideology?
We're now at the back end of April, yeah? And Ange has learnt no lessons.
What's happening, guys? Welcome to this week's Not For Clicks. I'm Jordan. That is Marvin. That is Ollie. And we might not be joined by a Chelsea fan, Gabriel. I mean, some would probably lean towards the hopefully might not, but he's abroad, so we'll see. Who knows? We're going to crack on though. G will join us or not if he can shortly. He's abroad on a work trip, so we'll see if his connection is good enough to link us up. How are we doing, gents?
I'm good, Jord.
Good. I mean, the real truth is, Jord, that he just got red carded after the bullshit he came out with last week. That's what I should say. Really.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. I was trying to cover him a little bit there, but it was.
I still haven't quite got over that thing he was trying to say. Like, you know, they should just change the rules so that we could have like better stories. And
I've had some shockers, but that's up there.
You know what it is with G? It's twofold, right? One, he kind of tries to hide behind, that's my job as the host, to be devil's advocate. And it's just like, I kind of get it, but don't talk rubbish. Like, let me just say, seriously, that's point one. And the second thing is, like, let's not go on like G doesn't have form. Remember when he was just like, it's KDB over hyped and stuff? Like,
that's right.
He's got form.
That was incredible.
That was arguably worse.
There's so much other stuff that we talk. We forget he goes under the radar as just a ridiculous person sometimes, right? Oh, that's my job. Let's try.
In his absence, should we just ban him from ever presenting the show again?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Yeah, he's had his shots. Yeah. You're right. Oh, you're next up.
Okay. We need to come on, and then we'll tell you if you're shit, and then you might also get better. If anything, out of the three of us, you should be throwing the least stones right now.
It's true.
True. Yeah. Right, we're going to have it then, Jord, or what? We're going to have it?
What, as in ban him from presenting?
No. Is it going to come up in quick hits? I just want it out of the way, Jord.
Oh, no, that's coming. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
That's coming. Don't worry about that.
Slow on the uptake. Marv, how slow is he on the uptake?
Sorry.
It took me like a second to realise, and then I realised the thing about is he wants to know when he's going to get shot.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the uncertainty.
And Marv, the worst thing is that G was getting some too, because that game was after our last pod. But G not being here just means I was getting more. I was going to get more.
I mean, you do have grounds where you could possibly have a clean sweep at the back end of the season of smoking all of our teams, but I'm still optimistic in my boys.
I'm getting to you. Don't worry, we're getting to you, Marv.
The game ain't happened, player.
Not today. I'm just saying. We got something for you.
Just be ready. Like, concentrate on getting smoked right now.
No, he will be getting smoked. Don't worry about that. All right, let's get into a quick hits, guys. Let me start with you, Marv. Red Bull F1. Their design chief, Adrian Newey, he's going to be leaving the team in the wake of the controversy involving allegations around the team principal boss, Christian Horner. Now, most people regard Newey, for those that aren't F1 fans, as like the greatest, I was reading, Formula One designer in history. Is this resignation, is him leaving the team, is this like akin to Pep leaving Manchester City?
Oh,
is it that scale?
I don't know if Formula One translates in that way, Jord. But let's be clear: like, Drive to Survive next season is set probably for the next couple of years, right? Like,
yes,
like Lewis leaving was big. Newey leaving is arguably just as big. What could even be more explosive is where he lands.
The link up, the rumours are going.
Everyone thinks it's Ferrari, but I think it would be equally as explosive if he goes to Mercedes, because Toto was definitely sniffing around him before, and it'd be a major miss on Lewis's side if the year he goes is the year Newey comes, because there's a rule change coming the year after.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know, man. Like, I just think Newey wanted a fresh challenge. To blame it on the Horner stuff is a mega reach. Like, it was just a a dirty old man sending dirty old texts. Is this really enough? Like, I think he wants to get paid. He wants to go somewhere else, but it's box office stuff in Formula One right now. It is the musical chairs, and like some of the other stuff is just like, because they got a new principal Ferrari, Fred. If he gets Lewis and Nui at Ferrari, that just I don't know what I think.
You got to think though, Marv. Sorry to cut you. That Lewis must have made that move, knowing he must have like done it on the premise that I'm coming. I'm going to follow you.
I think the majority of people agree with you, but I think Lewis made the decision purely on the fact he knew, based on the Mercedes plans, the Mercedes future, the chance of him winning in a Mercedes car again was slim to none. A Ferrari is the second best. So I think he thought, even if they don't get Nui, at least they'll be able to compete, because I think over the last 2 seasons, only Sainz has beat a Red Bull twice, right? Not even Leclerc has done it. So I think he was just hedging on, let me go to a better team. He could have really lucked out if Nui ends up there. And you know what, Jord, maybe you're right. Maybe there was a bit of insider trading, but either way, everybody's on the edge of the seats now to find out where he's going to land. I'm totally here for it. If it's Ferrari,
I'm all in.
I'm around, but I don't really like Ferrari. But if they have Nui and Lewis, like I could be converted here. Do you know what I mean, Jord? So we'll see.
I hear it. Oh,
do you just quickly, Marv? Do you buy into the story that that he's one of the things that's turned him off Formula One is the whole kind of circus around Drive to Survive and
Nui.
Formula One going, turning box office. He doesn't like all this commercial.
The funny thing is, I don't know that much about him. And based on me not knowing much about him, it would play into those rumours, right? Because he is arguably the best car designer that's ever been. You'd never see him on F1. You very rarely see him do interviews. And like, I think he's more of a purist, right? Like, it should be about the racing and the drivers and the competence. It shouldn't be like, celebrities in the paddock. I think he's that sort of quiet character that probably wouldn't love that altogether. But honestly, it's like, he needs to get with it, man. They probably quadrupled, if not fourfold, their audience based on Drive to Survive. That's a breath of fresh air into the sport. So he's just got to get with it. And like, going to Ferrari doesn't change that, right? Arguably, Ferrari are just as razzmatazz and the expectation is higher. So I think if that's the case, he just needs to get on board, to be honest. I love Drive to Survive. I won't hear a bad word against it, particularly of all the rubbish that we've had to watch over the week. So like, he needs to just get on board.
Oh, your one now.
Yes.
It's been confirmed. Mike Tyson, Logan Paul, it's going to be happening now. I was about 4 or 5 pods back saying, I just don't think it will happen. There's no way it will happen, but it's been sanctioned. It's going to be shown on YouTube, so anyone can watch it. Be honest, you'll be watching it, won't you?
How old is Mike Tyson now? How old is he?
He'll be 57, I think.
No, I think
57.
I think he'd be older.
50. He's a 57-year-old against a YouTube influencer. Honestly, I won't be watching it. It's just
Marvin's laughing.
To me, it's just silly. I just can't. Even for the kind of shock factor, even for the kind of watching it, just to see how stupid they're both going to look. I just can't get interested in it on that level. I mean, sport is about watching people at the top of their game doing incredible things, and to be watching this guy who's probably well out of shape and well past his best against a guy who's not even a pro doesn't really do it for me. I don't care. You're basically just buying into names, aren't you? And that's like me going on YouTube to watch you and Marv have a fight. I mean, that would be more interesting, actually. I'd be more interested in if you told me you and Marv were gonna get it on ahead of the Man United v Arsenal match. I would watch that, but I ain't watching Tyson's YouTube.
Would you pay for it, or would you pay for it?
I think I would actually. Yeah, I would. I'd love to see. I'd love to see you two have a tear up and see who come out on top. I would love to see that, man. That would be brilliant.
I mean,
Yeah, I'd go for that all day.
I'm lifty with my hands. Let me be clear about that. And
I'm not, but if the money's right, I'd give it a go.
I mean, let me be clear, George. I'm watching, man. I'm gonna watch this fight, mate.
On what ground? What ground? What's doing it for you, Marv? Why are you watching?
Well, let me be clear. I said it like I'm really excited. I'm not excited. Like I wouldn't pay for it. But for me, it's like, where's the downside? Jake Paul, if he gets beaten by a 58-year-old man, I'll take that. Mike just needs the cash, and the man needs the cash. So if he's willing to put essentially his life on the line, a man like half his age, how much do you want the money, Mike? You know what I mean? Like, let me see it. Let me see how is it technique and experience over youth? Like, there's angles to this, and the bottom line is like, Jake Paul, I think, is coming to the end now. He's gonna have to pack it in soon. I think they're probably gonna try and get him in the ring with KSI as well. But he's gone through all the has-beens that are willing to get embarrassed and get paid. Mike is the last one that really needs the cash. It's funny because when we talked about it on a pod before, Jord goes, I don't think it'll be sanctioned. And I was like, I don't really know if it's going to be sanctioned. It's now been sanctioned. Jord's corrected, but Jord, I'm still adamant the fight doesn't happen, you know?
You reckon?
I would, like, obviously they're in camp now, they're going to do it, but I just think, based on some of the clips I've seen about Tyson in the last, 2-3 years, I think it's really dangerous. Really, really dangerous. So we'll have to see. Do
you think he's actually going to train, Tyson? Is he going to do any training?
He'll definitely train.
Properly?
I think wow. As much as a 58-year-old man can do, but I think he'll train. Like, ultimately, I think, despite everything we say and the fact that I think he just really needs the cash, like, he's a man of pride. I think he'll, at the very least, not want to embarrass himself. One of the things that I've made a mental note to do, though, because I keep mucking it up, is I need to check the rules. I've got a funny feeling once we read the rules, there's going to be some really, meh about it. Like, no uppercuts or head guards or something like that. It's going to be something stupid like that. So it won't be the spectacle that means people should pay for it. But as long as it's not on a, super stupid o'clock, I'm totally here for it.
And you say that, he's a man of pride. He won't want to go out to someone like a YouTuber. But as I remember it, and Ollie, correct me if I'm wrong here, the last few fights of his career, he lost to some bums. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It weren't good looks.
But I think his losses were more about, he's clean now, right? I don't think he's doing the drugs. I don't think he's doing the alcohol. He's probably, knowing how all these boxers turn around, he's probably a vegan and all that stuff. So it's it wouldn't surprise me if, the back end of his career, he was really just on it hard. I can't remember. Somebody told a story. It's going to kill me. But somebody told me a story of how him and Tyson just did an obscene amount of cocaine, before a fight. It's the guy from Jackass. I can't remember his name. Him and Tyson did an obscene amount of cocaine. And that doesn't surprise me. It was Kevin McBride, and he lost to Danny Williams as well. Danny Williams was come on.
All right. Right, let's move on.
Are you watching, Jord?
I'm not going to watch it. No, I'm not going to watch it.
Is that out of principle, Jord?
Yeah. Well, just principle, and also what am I watching? I just don't know what I'm watching.
Exactly.
What am I watching?
What am I watching?
I'll see the clips on Twitter and the highlights, and you lot will tell me about it, but I can't invest time in watching that. And you've kind of talked me back round to my initial point, to my initial stance, Marvin. I'm not convinced that's even what happen either. Nah. And if it does, I also agree with you that there's probably so many kind of clauses in the fight. It's just going to be a spectacle anyway. So not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me. All right, I'll ask you both briefly the question I was going to ask G. Just keep it brief, guys, because it's meant to be quick, kids. We're almost halfway through the pod. If Kane wins the Champions League and Bellingham wins La Liga, who's had the better season?
I'd go Kane, man. He's broken records in the Bundesliga this year, and let's face it, they've lost to outstanding like Leverkusen. Like they're still unbeaten. Jord, I tell you, I've never made so much money on gambling on Leverkusen. I'm betting on them. They're 1-0 down in injury time, and I'm still betting on an equaliser and a draw. And the returns are lovely. They keep surpassing all expectations. So I don't think although Bayern have been poor this year, I don't think they've lost to any team. They've probably lost to the most consistent team in Europe. Champions League, the highest it goes. Whereas I think Ol mentioned it on pods before, like there's kind of an expectation, particularly the way Barca are right now, that Real win La Liga. But Bellingham's done a great job, but that's kind of how I'm reading it. But both of them great seasons, and more reasons why if Southgate can't do something in the Euros, he should get fired.
Yeah,
with Saka as well.
Saka's overrated.
Yeah, I'd go. I'd probably just tip towards Kane. I think. Yeah, I mean, Barcelona won the championship last year, La Liga, and I'm not totally 100% convinced about Barca. So, yeah, Real kind of winning the title is kind of par for the course, really. I think if Bayern managed to put it back from losing the league, I think it might even save Tuchel his job. I think they might even turn around to him and say, listen, Thomas, will you hang about here? Because they're not having much joy trying to find another manager. They've gone. How many people have they gone through now so far? They try to go back to Nagelsmann, didn't they? Nagelsmann just messed them around and then said, "Nah, I'll stay with Germany." And they obviously tried to get Alonso. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the Champions League if they come back to him and say, "Listen, let's try it again." So yeah, I think that would be a massive comeback for Bayern. Bearing in mind, as Marv says, that they kind of found themselves up against a more consistent outfit in Leverkusen in the league.
All right. Just before we get to our first proper chat, let's have a quick chat about the last 7 days.
Look at the way he's puffing out his chest.
It wasn't a good weekend for Spurs. I want to talk about big Ange.
Has it been a good 2 weeks for? Let's be honest.
No, it's not been good.
They got packed out. They got packed out, as Marv would say, by Newcastle. They had 2 weeks off. They could play Arsenal, and you wouldn't have thought that Arsenal, the team, would play 4 games. But anyway, ask your questions, Jord.
I was just going to ask. I was going to.
Anyway, just get on with it, if you will. Yeah, get on with it.
There was a question about Ange Postecoglou because he's been getting a lot of heat over the weekend. I've seen from wider media and fans about his tactics, but I'm paying attention more so to the Spurs fans. A lot of whom, and to be fair, it's not all. It seems to be split, but the split seems to be he's stubborn. His tactics are good, but he's not flexible enough when things don't go right. This was another example where Arsenal would have been licking their lips knowing that he's not going to change. And I thought the Spurs weren't even that bad in the first half, but you were still 3 down. How much of that being 3-0 down do you attribute to his tactics? Or do you actually think that this is what's got to happen if he's to embed his way of playing for the long term? He just needs better players to do it.
Well, I've said this before. I think I said it on previous pods. The thing is, he's got the players he's got at the moment, and he might have an idea that he wants to play a certain way, but he started that game with Højbjerg in the centre of his midfield. So what happened to the ideals? What happened to the idea that, this is the way I play? Granted, Bissouma's been a massive disappointment ever since he got sent off against Luton. He's kind of, I don't know what's happened. Maybe Postecoglou had a word with him about him being less of a liability. And since then, he just doesn't seem to be able to perform. So he's been a massive disappointment. But yeah, I looked at that team sheet and I saw Højbjerg was in there, and I thought, oh dear. And that on top of the fact that you had Davis up against Saka, and I thought that might be a problem, even though I think Davis has been a good player for us whenever he's been called upon. But yeah, I don't understand it, because on one hand he's saying I stick to my ideals and I'm not going to change for anyone. On the other hand, he's starting with Højbjerg, who we all know doesn't fit his system, and he knows that as well. So I can't really get my head around that thinking. In terms of the first half, on every metric and every stat, Spurs were the better team. Spurs had more possession and XG, if you care about those things, and shots, and more of the ball in the final third. All of these stats, Spurs were on top. The fact is, Arsenal came out and Arteta used his brain and Postecoglou didn't. And it's as simple as that. I just think that Arteta looked at the way that we play and just thought, well, okay, Arsenal are going to sit back and we're going to wait for you. We're going to wait for you to give us the ball, and then we'll pounce. And that's what happened. It was like taking candy for a baby, really, in the end. And I actually thought Spurs were pathetic, to be honest with you, that first half. In terms of, it's all very well kind of having loads of the ball, but if you can't defend basic set pieces, you've got no right winning a game of football. Arsenal are the best side in the league at set pieces. We all know what Ben White does at corners. He does it every game. It's not just against Spurs. He does it all the time, and it felt like to me that Spurs didn't do any work whatsoever on defending set pieces or any preparation for what was coming. And that's inexcusable. I think that is just... Eric Dyer mentioned, there was a newspaper article came out, Eric Dyer saying that Ange doesn't work on tactics. He only works on what Spurs do. And to me, I just think that's just madness. So essentially, you all you worry is about what you do. You come against Arsenal, you come against Liverpool, you come against Man City, and you don't think it's worth looking at what they do and trying to counteract that. That's negligent as far as I'm concerned.
So let me just before I come to. Sorry, just before I come to.
Thing. I mean, Arteta said. Arteta said. I heard Arteta said after the in a press conference after the game. Oh well, did you sit back or were you put? Why did you sit back? And he was like, well, we couldn't do anything else because Spurs are so aggressive. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. That was the game. The game plan from Arteta was sit back, watch these idiots. Watch these idiots come at you like a bullet in a china shop. Watch them give you the ball, and watch when you just play one ball and they won't have any cover. He basically, they played straight into Arsenal's hands, and they didn't deserve anything. And to come back and you get these 2 goals in the second half. It's too late by then. You can't go 3 goals down and hope to do anything in the game against Arsenal.
So just briefly, before I come to Marv on something, do you not think that this is part of the short-term pain for long-term gain if you're going to really implement an ideology of how he wants to play?
But Jord, the thing is, right, how long are people going to stomach that for? That's one, you can get away with that if you're managing, I don't know, if you're managing, I can't think of a team now, but if you're managing a team, say you're managing Bournemouth, right? Even at Bournemouth, it'd be a problem. Because Areola, when he first started this season, they were getting beat comprehensively every week. And there are a lot of people thinking, why didn't you just keep O'Neill? And he was getting some heat.
He was.
If you're at Spurs, what are you seriously thinking that Postecoglou, I mean, he's basically said, oh, well, this is the way it's going to go, and we're going to take a few more beatings before we get it right. How long do you think that's going to be allowed to continue before fans are getting really upset and and Levy and all the board start getting itchy about it? Because you can't just keep getting beat by 3s and 4s and think that people are just going to say, oh, it's all right, it's all part of the process. That's not going to work, Jord. He's going to, there's going to be a point where people are going to be like, especially when it's one thing if you're paying, like, you're not paying that much. But to turn up for a game now, Jord, that game, if you wanted to turn up, if you bought a ticket, right, not for a season ticket holder, if you bought a ticket for that game, that was £83. £83, Jord. And he's telling me that I'm going to have to suck it up and watch us get... We got thrashed on Sunday, Jord. We got thrashed. It was 3-2, but it was a thrashing. Arsenal didn't even... Because Arsenal didn't even play that well. Arsenal didn't need to play that well. That's how bad it was. It was terrible. So I don't think that that's sustainable. You can't just say, well, we're going to get whacked a good deal more before I get it right. Because this is Spurs you're talking about. There's no guarantee that Levy's going to give you all the players you want in one window or two windows or even at all. So if that's the case, and you know that you might not get the players, they're not going to do what Arsenal have done and say, right, we need that player, go and get him. We need this player, go and get him. That's not how Spurs work. So in that time, what? We're going to wait 2 or 3 years while get whacked every time we come up against the top side. We're going to get whacked with Costa saying, well, I still haven't got my team yet. That's not going to work, Jord.
Well, Mark, let me ask you, and I don't want to make this about Man United, but there's a rebuild happening at your club as well.
Is there?
Do you think Spurs?
I think we're just placing the charges on the current building, George, but we've got to demolish that before.
True.
Rebuilding.
But what's your position in terms of when there is a rebuild going on? Do you think that United, as an example, have to just the issues are so deep set, and they were at Spurs for 2 or 3 years. Those fans were pissed at Spurs. Jose, Conte, Nuno, they were pissed.
Yeah.
To undo a lot of that, it can't be done in 6 months, and you just have to accept that for a year, maybe 18 months, you just have to go through a little bit of pain, as long as you're kind of seeing some kind of progress. And let's be clear, Spurs are better now than they were last year.
Yeah, I see where O's coming from, and as a Spurs fan, it's his prerogative to just be annoyed. And O said it, at least on one pod I remember, where he was just like, if they continue to play like that, teams are going to figure it out and they're going to get got. And that's kind of what's happening, right? But that being said, I think ultimately the reason why I'm a bit more sympathetic for Ange is the fact that at least you can see what he's trying to do. I think the big problem at United is people don't see an identity, they don't see a style of play. And to his point, we've got a style we don't want to do, but we haven't got it right yet. There's probably a little bit of a personnel challenge as well. And despite what he said in one presser about he doesn't want people who are just coming for Champions League football, if they get Champions League football and Mr. Levy looses the purse strings, I think, give the man what he wants. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think people thought, like, Tottenham had a really strong start to the season. I think when he got hired from Celtic, personally, I can't speak for anyone else, but personally, like, I didn't have them in the conversation for Champions League football. So in terms of his total body of work, I think he's done half decent. But that being said, like, it's Spurs Arsenal, man. You got to show up for Spurs Arsenal. And like you could be crap and pack out Arsenal in Spurs Arsenal, and the fans will be all right with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll give you a bit of leeway. And if there was a chance, if there was an opportunity for him to just do it a little bit different, tweak it a little bit, read the fact of O's point that Arteta had a game plan and try and counter it, they might have fared a little bit better. I do have a question though, O. Son, what's going on there? Like, I had him in my fantasy team. He wasted my money for about 6 weeks of just doing nothing. Is it the Ange way, which is isolating him a bit? Is he off the boil? Like, just help me understand.
Well, he can't play through the middle. He can't hold the ball up. He can't play that role. We can get away with it sometimes, but against two really kind of aggressive centre halves like Saliba and Gabriel, you ain't getting away with that.
No.
And again, I looked at that. I looked at that team. That was another thing I looked at. I mean, to be fair to Ange, maybe Richarlison's not 100% fit, and he couldn't really give him a start, and he could probably thinking, I'll give you the last half hour. And I understand that, but yeah, it was another thing. That, as well as the Højbjerg call, made me think, we're not getting anything here. When I saw that team, I was seriously concerned. The thing is, Marv, I think I'd give Ange the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But seriously, man, you've got to prepare for set pieces.
Yeah.
This was going on. Marv, this was like, I think, when was it? The start of February, we played Everton at Goodison. They did exactly what Arsenal did. They must have had about 20 corners in the first half, right? And every corner, they were roughing up Vicario. They beat him up. They beat him up at every corner. And the thing is, you're thinking, right, that was in February.
What do you do realistically, right? Like, I hear what you're saying.
To combat that.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but you quite rightly said Arsenal are one of the best at it right now, right? So if you're going to concede corners, it's likely to be against this lot. And you're right, Ben White was doing absolute nonsense. But for me, the only other alternative is you get one of your enforcers like Romero to kind of marshal and protect.
That's exactly what they should do.
Yeah, but
that's exactly what they should do.
But the thing
and
is,
they should beat up White as well. They should throw him to the floor. As long as the ball's not in play, Marv, he can't do anything. The ref won't do anything. If you throw him to the floor, I heard on the radio, I heard on a pod earlier on, actually, it was a really good point that what Arsenal tried to do against Porto, but Porto were really clever. What they did was they basically caused a commotion. Every time the corners came, they caused a commotion. One of them would dive on the floor, and the ref, from that moment on, when he saw a Porto player go down, the ref would be on it. He would be on it. So the minute White touched the keeper or anything, he was like, right, foul. And that's what you got to do. You got to be clever. You got to be clever. Either get a man. Someone else said that. I heard someone else say. I think it was on Match Today. I think Shay Given was saying Gary Neville used to just throw people on the floor. When he was at Man United, if someone tried to rough the keeper up, he'd just throw him on the floor. And exactly, you cause a bit of a commotion. But
I don't know if Gary's got that in locker all the time.
That's what he said. But the thing is, Mark. The thing is, all I'm saying is the fact that Spurs. This has happened to Spurs more than once in other games before Arsenal. And the fact that they still haven't learnt the lesson, the fact that they're still just watching Vicario get roughed up, and they're doing, and all of the players to a man are all just watching it happen and doing nothing, seriously concerns me. It's either they can't make decisions for themselves, or the managers not even and the set piece coach, whoever that is, isn't preparing them for these scenarios.
Let me flip it now to Arsenal now. And on that set piece point, let's stick with that. I mean, we've employed a set piece coach, and as you both said, we're by far the most effective team from set pieces.
I just echoed what Ollie said. I don't know if I believe it, but it's a valid point. I don't want you to... What's the valid point? I think you're a good set piece, but this whole by far, you were very emphatic.
This is my question, and I'm by far. I mean, statistically, I think we've got like 6 or 7 more goal set pieces the next team.
Arsenal are the best.
That is by far.
The best.
So calm down, Marvin. Just let me ask my question.
Arsenal are the best
can get upset.
side at set pieces in the league.
All right, we turned you. Bloody hell!
So my question is: do you think that Arsenal with this guy are doing something particularly unique and well coached, or is it just a case of Ben White's being a bastard and doing what he's doing, and we're just getting good deliveries in the ball with guys attacking them? Is there anything particularly unique happening here, or do you think actually, there's something you spotted that clearly has been worked on day to day, week to week?
Well, if there is, I didn't see it in the Spurs game because that was just easy. That was like under 9 stuff. The ball was just hit. Balls were just hit to the near post, and people were just heading it in. There was no. It wasn't. It was basic. There wasn't even like a decoy run, or it's like, I can see how they got fooled there or something. It was just like a simple run to the near post and nodded into one by an own goal, granted. But the second one by Havertz was just so simple. The
question was.
Yeah, I don't know what Arsenal. I don't know if Arsenal are doing in the other games because obviously I don't watch your team, George. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, Marv.
I think it's a bit of both, Jord. Like Arsenal got quite a lot of height in their centre backs. They've got some good dead ball specialists in the likes of Saka and Odegaard, so they're clearly doing something right. and like to your point, the numbers don't lie. I do think that like that guy who you hired, you've got to take some credit because I don't know where you were, but you weren't anywhere near as good last season. So it is what it is. But personally,
I think we were actually. I think we were. I think we were. But
I personally would rather move on. Like you've had your flowers. Let's get.
Well, hang on. I'm not done yet. So my last question was going to be: all the talk a week or two ago was about Arsenal having the toughest run-in of all the three clubs, right?
Whoa. Let's recap. You were shook of Spurs. When we made that bet, you were shook. You said,
no,
that's the one I'm worried about. That's the one I'm worried about.
That's not shook. That's not shook. That's not shook. That's the one that I thought.
If Jordan sounded shook.
Anyway, my question is to both of you, but I'll start with you, Marv.
Yeah.
So you have a game more. But who's got the harder games on paper out of the two clubs now?
Well, you've only got, how many you got left? Two or three?
Three.
And you got us at Old Trafford?
Yeah.
Then it's you. Default. Who's City got left?
Well, I mean,
City have got Wolves, West Ham, Tottenham, and...
West Ham's at home, right?
West Ham's last game of the season at home. They've got Wolves this weekend. Wolves at home. They've got Spurs away, and they've got another one away. Oh wow, who is it?
Oh, the funny thing is, I've seen a load of people going, Spurs are gonna just roll over and play dead against City just to stop Arsenal.
Well, this is my final question, and we will move on. Oh, we spoke about referees, and you said last week about referees sometimes, whether they realise it or not, being caught up in emotions and possible biases affecting their professionalism. I hear all this talk about the Spurs players. They're going to be professional. They're going to want to win this game because it's professional pride. And even if it helps Arsenal, they want to win the game and get 3 points. Do you believe that? Or do you think that all the talk leading up to that game is going to be about Spurs by default helping Arsenal? And if unintentionally, Spurs players will be affected by that and they won't give it 100%?
I mean, a lot depends on whether they can still catch Villa. And the season could be over by then, Jordan. I think that's your problem. As an Arsenal fan, if you're hoping that Spurs are going to put it in, we could be gone within the next 2 games because we got Chelsea away. You know what the record is at Stamford Bridge. And we got Liverpool away. If we don't come away with anything from those games, which is very likely, then Villa are gone and top 4 is gone. So we can't get 4th. We probably won't get caught for 5th. What are we playing for? Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it is. Yeah, come on, George, you know what I mean? Come on. We got nothing in this race, George. You know what I mean? I think Ange will start looking at some other players who he wants to start blooding for next season. You know what I mean?
Let's be clear. Let's be clear, Mark. It'd be the most Spursy thing if they won the game, wouldn't it?
The funny thing is, we might even see Jed Spence. Is he still around, or is he like in Turkey or something? The funny thing is, I was thinking
John Bellet.
John's going about pride. Like, if you look at Spurs and a thesaurus, you'll see a lot of words, but pride ain't going to be one of them. I tell you that for nothing.
There's no need for that. All right.
I've got to tell you, Jord, I've got to tell you as well, the more I look at it, that was a pen as well. Kulu was a pen.
We disagree on that one. So, Marv, you have the final casting say on this one. Is it a pen or not?
I thought it was a pen. I did.
At the time or in hindsight? Or, I'm sorry, in
replay for sure. I didn't think it was a stone cold at the beginning. Also, help me out though, because I missed it. I saw the highlight. The Van der Ven disallowed goal. Was that legitimately disallowed?
I'm not sure. That's the one that I would. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'd be more pissed about that one than I would the pen shout.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's come off Tomiyasu, but it's not like you could say he was playing it back to the keeper.
It wasn't. I thought that like it's not like the player. Yeah. It's like it didn't come off. It wasn't a Spurs pass. Oh, that's the bottom line for me. So if
it wasn't a Spurs play. It was a shot. It was a shot from Porro. It's been Tomiyasu's gone to block it. But the thing is, there is, I think Romero put on Twitter, what's the difference between that situation and the goal that we conceded against West Ham at home?
Yeah.
Where exactly the same thing happened. Except West Ham had a shot, it came off Romero and it bounced into Bowen's path, and Bowen scored, and it was given. And so again, it's that consistency thing, isn't it? Because it's marginal for one thing, and yeah, they just I just think they just changed the rules from game to game, really, rather than sticking to one particular line.
All right, we got to move on. But in a word, who wins the title now, Marv?
Do you know what, Jord? I said it. My one of my bosses said to me, "Who do I want to win it?" And the truth is, I've ranked him, and this was when Liverpool was still in the hat, right? But I said, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the Arsenal fans, I'd be right behind Arsenal winning it. Like, tell me, Jord, if Arsenal fans didn't exist,
I just wanted a word. Who do you think will? Not who you want. I just want who do you think will win the title?
I think City will win it. City's who I think.
I got a funny feeling there's another twist in this.
Yeah,
I don't know where, but I think City might. I think it's going to be a twist. I think Arsenal might win it. Actually, I hate to say it, but I just got a funny feeling Arsenal.
Is that the first time you said that in terms of like changed your mind? No, only because you said City all the way through. Haven't you? This is the first time you thought actually I'm changing.
I'm not basing it on anything because everything points to City winning it. It's in their hands and they're very good at this stage of the season. But when a team has got the record that Arsenal have got, in terms of the goal difference and all the stats are in Arsenal's favour, that they've been the best team. So I just feel like something's going to go for them. Something's going to go for them. I hope it doesn't, but I think that something might go for them.
Cool. Gee, so lucky he's not here because we've just skirted past that 5-0 slapping.
Oh,
if he was here as well, sorry, Marv, if he was here as well, I'd be back on that thing about Havertz being crap.
We can save that. We can save that. Don't worry.
Because
yeah, maybe there's nothing wrong with his Wi-Fi. There's probably nothing wrong.
A decent assist and a goal as well. He's scoring goals for you, Jord. I don't need to tell you that he's contributing. He's contributing.
Oh, if Arsenal win it, let me know what your house line's going to be in that Alaskan getaway. Because I don't know where I'm going to be, but you ain't going to be able to reach me on the mobile that I've got now. I tell you that.
I can't wait to be playing you, Mark. Honestly, beating Spurs is sweet. I hate Chelsea, so love them. I hate them, but when we come to Old Toilet, let me tell you, that's the one. That is the one I'm looking forward to.
You're gas for it, right? And I'm concerned because I got Casemiro playing centre back right now. But I'm still gonna back myself right now. I'm still gonna back it. Like we started that Liverpool demise. Anything's possible on our day, so we'll see.
We are going to absolutely stroke you. I can't wait. But anyway, we'll get there. All right, let's move on to our next subject, guys. Let's talk about. I want to chat about Dutch managers. It's looking like Arne Slot is going to be the next Liverpool boss. That deal is pretty much done. I can't talk too much about him because the truth is I don't know a lot about him, so it would just be disingenuous to try and pretend like I know what he's about. So let's not do that. But it got me thinking about the success rate of Dutch managers in the Premier League and Dutch people in the Prem in general. And their record's not great. In the Prem, no Premier League winner of Dutch managers that's been there so far. We had the likes of Hiddink win a cup in an interim role. Ten Hag is won a League Cup. Ronald Koeman did a good job, I think, at Everton Southampton, but no trophies. Ronald de Boer, was it 7 games? I think it was 7 games, and he was not for this place. Martin Jol, decent, but no trophies. And Ruud Gullit, let's say no more there. And I just wonder if there's a particular reason we think that they struggle in the Prem, because they don't struggle in other leagues from what I've briefly gleaned as well. Is it a personality thing? Because we often hear about the kind of stereotype or not, but Dutch players are difficult to manage, and unless they're 102% fit, they're not going to play, and Bergkamp won't fly. And the Dutch national team has got a really poor record of success for some of the players they've had. Has anybody got any theories as to why the Dutch, in terms of managerial positions, don't succeed in the Prem?
I mean, I personally think we're not going on like there's nationalities necessarily thriving in the Prem, right, Jord? Because what, an English manager's never won the Prem, right? So I don't know if I'd narrow it down to nationality. I think ultimately I'm kind of old school. So one of my favourite teams was that Ajax, Total Football, Jari Litmanen, Finidi George, Kanu, those guys. And I think that's when Dutch football was at its pinnacle. I think the Dutch management that's come over to the Prem is indicative of the Dutch league's just not a strong league anymore. So you're hedging on their technical ability, because even I was like, I'll take Hard because Hard got Ajax fairly far in the Champions League. But when it comes to it, it's like on any given day,
Different level.
It's different. The Prem is different. I'm not saying technically it's better than the Dutch league. I just think the competitive nature, the physicality, particularly on those sort of yo-yo teams, is a lot. And I think ultimately, it's anytime you get a Dutch manager who's only managed in Holland and done well, like Slot has done, right? I think you're taking a risk on the fact that there's a philosophy that you think can be embedded within the team. A bit like you, I don't know Slot very well, but you're talking to a man that's got Haag, and everybody told me Haag is this master tactician, like he can make the right moves, the right chess moves when he needs to. I've seen nothing of it, Jord, and I think ultimately the Prem it's a realization that what's successful in Holland doesn't necessarily translate to our league, right?
Oh, I heard a clip from a show yesterday. Someone sent me a clip from TalkSport show yesterday with Danny Kelly, Danny Murphy, and Darren Lewis. They were discussing Slot, right? And Danny Murphy, said that he wasn't a big fan of Dutch people. It was really bad.
He's really miserable, Murphy, isn't he?
Well, I'm being a little bit unfair because that is what he said, but the context was that Dutch managers in the Premier League haven't done well, and he's not really a big fan of them generally. And then Darren kind of pulled him up on it and said, look, you can't generalise and say all Dutch people or whatever. But they were talking also about the fact that, as I mentioned earlier on, the personality of many of the Dutch players that have come to the Premier League, they have this reputation, right? Whether it's fair or not, they have a reputation for being quite stoic. Do you think their personality traits are maybe a contributing factor as to why they find it hard to manage in the Prem? Or is it just, as Marvin's saying, it's just a different level of quality? They're just not good enough.
Are you talking about the arrogance? Factor,
people would say the Dutch. Yeah, they're arrogant. They're not prepared to compromise on how they want football done. Their man management skills can be questionable at times.
Yeah.
If anything, I mean, like you, I'm not pretending to be any expert on Slot, but if anything with this guy, I've got a feeling that he might suffer because he's too far the other way. He doesn't really strike me as someone. I mean, maybe I'm showing my kind of my lack of knowledge on him, but the little bit I've seen of him strikes me as, I think he's just
too nice.
I think he's going to get eaten alive in the Premier League. I think Liverpool are making it. I don't know why. You just look at someone and just think, you're going to get eaten alive in this league. I just don't fancy him at all. I don't think he's a fit, and I think I'm going to stick my neck out and say I don't think he's going to work. I really don't. There's something about him, I don't know why, but I just don't think he's ready yet. And just winning the title at Feyenoord is not really. When you think that Ten Hag, for instance, had multiple trophies and titles at Ajax. I know it's Ajax and they kind of normally dominate there. But even so, this guy's won a title at Feyenoord. And I know Feyenoord have been in the doldrums for a long time. But to go from that to Liverpool seems like a huge jump to me, where the focus is so much more intense than it's going to be Feyenoord. Not to say Feyenoord aren't a big club, especially in Dutch football, and they've won the European Cup, but still, I just don't think he's ready yet, and I don't think it's arrogance that's going to be his problem, Jord. I just think it's going to be too much for him when things aren't going well, and you've got some big personalities and big egos there. We're already seeing the whole thing with Salah, and Salah may well hang on there till the end of next season and then go on a free. So you've got that to manage, and you've got all these players who are probably used to being managed by in a certain way by Klopp, who, we've all got our issues with him, but he's I think he rules that club, a bit like Fergie used to rule Man United. You don't mess around with a guy, I remember that time when, you probably remember it as well, that time when Henderson came off once and he was upset that Klopp had brought him off, and Klopp just, Klopp let him know in no uncertain terms who's the boss. Yeah. And I don't know, there's something about Slop that I look at him and just think, I just don't think he's got it. I don't know why. It's just a feeling I have. I'm not basing it on anything. I've just watched it. There's something about that guy. I've just got a feeling he's going to get eaten alive in the Premier League, and it ain't going to work.
I was calling it early, and I just hope he's right, Jord, to be fair. I've
got a feeling. I've just got a feeling about him. He just looks like someone who's here, he's very excited about the job and he thinks he could come here and do it. But seriously, it's not what he's done up to this point will not prepare him for being the manager of Liverpool. And when things are going wrong there, he'll know about it very quickly.
Well, we should get someone on that knows a bit more about the Dutch league and about Slot, because I find it a really curious appointment as well. I don't know much about it, so maybe there's things that he does. There's things that I've read that he does, like he makes sure everyone speaks English at Feyenoord, all the staff, all the players. He's very big on that. He's very big on the kind of friendly, touchy-feely kind of chemistry is his big thing. Now, look, that may work at Feyenoord, right? But as you say, this level's ruthless.
I just think you need to, irrespective of what he's done at Feyenoord, you need to be able to walk into a dressing room at a club like Liverpool and command immediate respect. And a lot of those players are going to probably be thinking, Klopp had that. Klopp had that thing about him. He'd won titles at Dortmund. He got them to the Champions League final. He definitely, and not only that, but Klopp the players...
He's scared by him.
Yeah, and the players that he had, he kind of got rid of them over a certain amount of time and brought in his own players, whereas Slot's going to come in, and they're all Klopp's players, aren't they? He's going to come in and manage Klopp's side, certainly for the first season. But I think this is a different situation where Klopp was kind of starting from a low base. Liverpool were in the doldrums. They weren't even making top four. This guy's coming in. Liverpool are a top four side. Up until, a couple of games ago, they were going for the title. These are players who think that they're at the very top, and he's going to have to try and maintain that now. So it really is a different kind of job that he's got from the one that Klopp had when he came in. Klopp had to rebuild. This guy's going to need to sustain. And those are two different jobs. And I just think that I don't know, man. I just don't feel...
Some would say, Marv, just to kind of wrap, that makes his job slightly easier. He's coming in with a world-class centre-back, best keeper in the world.
I don't know. I feel like it's a bit like Moisey. You never want to be the guy after the guy, do you? And I don't know. Is really, or is that just a cliche? As much as you brag about him, like Trent Alexander-Arnold's got one more year left on his contract. People have rumoured Carvajal's not a spring chicken, so people have rumoured that he'll go and be that guy at Real Madrid. I think Salah's gone in the summer. Like, if anything,
I think so too.
He weren't an happy camper. We'll get onto it as a nearly for the Willis, but he was not a happy camper. And what made it even funnier was they were like,
not if he wants to run down his contract, he won't.
Well, I think
he may well run down his contract and stay next season.
He might, but let's face it, like he fits the profile for Saudi. they'll pay whatever he's getting paid at Liverpool and then some to have him over there. And I think he's just a bit fed up. Like, oh, I was watching some clips of all of Nunez's misses of like the top 10. Like Salah put like 5 or 6 on the plate, and everyone he was like, "Oh my God, what am I doing with this guy?" Like Bobby used to put him in the back of the net. Do you know what I mean? So he might not have it. And Liverpool might want to get a bit of cash for him before that runs out. And as much as everyone loves Van Dijk, like I think he's slowly degrading overall as well. Like, and like I don't think it's all as easy to sustain based on what he has, particularly as some of those marquee players will be on the move, and some of the replacements that Klopp has brought in, the likes of Nunez and Szoboszlai, are not of that standard. So that's kind of where I'm netting, and I don't think it's an easy job for anyone, to be honest.
All right, let's keep moving, guys. It's now time for this.
What you talking about, Willis? Jord. This is a hard one.
There was a lot this week. There was so
much. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what hasn't made it. And like, you guys are going to get sick of me, but it's one of those things where like people actually like the Willis, and a couple of people have been like, how have you not mentioned this? How have you not mentioned that? And I've got a level with everyone, yeah? There's a lot of people talking a lot of crap, right? Like, there's no way around it. Like, I'll be honest, I'll say up front, I'm missing stuff. It's a lot to keep up with. Like, I'm having to Google. Like, I'm now getting to a point of Googling who's talking crap this week. Like, it's pretty bad. So let me give you a quick rundown, right? Hag, our friend, he's only not going to get it because I'll probably give it to him one more time before the season. But to tell me that Man United are one of the most dynamic teams in the Premier League, Jordan, we are +1 goal difference. We are low on pretty much every defensive spectrum, and I think Luton still scored more than us. What are you talking about? Actually, you know what? Luton probably haven't scored more than us now because of the Sheffield United one, but Sheffield United, the bottom team, were up against us on 2 occasions. There's nothing dynamic about our football, Jordan. Nothing. Like, it's one of those things where someone could offer me a ticket, and I'll be like, I don't know, man. Like, I think my wife's making spaghetti bolognese. Like, it's that bad. And I'm like, I'm on level like 5,000 of Candy Crush. I was on like level 12 at the beginning of the season. I'm like, I'm finding more enjoyment there. We are not dynamic, Hag. I'm sorry, but that's
to be fair, the rest of that quote was that we're also very entertaining, and he's not lying there. He's not lying.
We're entertaining for the neutral watching our demise, but let me tell you, there isn't a United fan here or overseas that is enjoying the football. So he's lucky. He's lucky that I don't pick on people, right? Like, because that is a Willis in itself. We've got to talk about the Salah and Klopp beef, right? I love it because it's typical, like, social media had people on like lip reading, and they were just like, Salah's just like, what do you want me to do? You're bringing me on now. Like, Salah's pissed. And Klopp's like, shake my hand properly or else I'll spark you out right here. Like, I don't care. And I loved all of it. I love Liverpool capitulation. I was here for that as well. For some of you, there might be some of you that don't like football. Like, Jord, it was the NFL draft this weekend, and the Atlanta Falcons have just paid a quarterback $180 million over 5 years, right?
Wow.
It's a big deal. What did they do in the first round? Draft another quarterback. It's the stupidest thing anyone's ever seen. They've drafted someone who's 24 to sit on the bench. Like, people are calling it the stupidest draft pick ever, and it upsets me that a lot of black people are in their front office there that made that pick. It's a terrible decision. 2 more, and then I'll get to it. I'm sorry, kid. A lot of stuff happens. You guys aren't going to know about this. I only read it a couple of days ago. Someone sent me, but I just want you to Google an ex-Port Vale player called Ryan Burge, who chartered a flight to mock his old club, Port Vale, who just got relegated.
I saw this.
He actually, the reason why he hates Port Vale so much is because they suspended him because he missed the call time for a team dinner. They suspended him for 2 games, and he was like, I'm never going to play for you again. And he hates Port Vale so much, he chartered a plane mocking their relegation. Like, what a way never to be able to go to a town again. Although, who would want to go into that area? I don't know. Last one, Floyd Mayweather. He's been having murders with Javonte Davis. Javonte Davis then came out and said, you are stuck in Dubai because you owe the Dubai authorities money and they're not releasing you until you pay your debts. Now, Jord, I watched like so many clips of Mayweather saying he bought a building for $2 million and now makes him $8 million a year. He ain't got any money, Jord. And I reckon after this Tyson fight, he might be the next person in the ring with Jake Paul because all of this money Mayweather, I think he's got money problems and he's currently being held by the authorities in Dubai. Lots of sources have confirmed it and I'm embarrassed for him. So that was one that was almost going to make it. But Jord, the winner of the Willis this week has to go to G's Bezzy mate, and I'm upset that G can't be here, but it's got to be none other than the racist man himself, John Terry, who just got inducted into the Football Hall of Fame with my legend and personal hero, Andy Cole, and rocked up to the awards wearing all his Premier League medals, George. I cannot think of a worse decision. And what makes it funnier is Andy Cole has won more Premier Leagues than him and just rocked up in his suit. Like, he knows there's a line. And, George, if you just get into the psyche of it, I reckon Terry, like, stood in the mirror, George, with his medals and went, yeah, this is my time. I deserve this. It was a terrible decision. I can't stand John Terry. I can't stand Chelsea. You know I abhor racism, like all of it. And he gave an interview to Simon Jordan recently as well, talking about how unracist he is and everyone knows it. I tell you what, we don't know it. We all think you're racist, right? Like, let's have it right. I called Anton. He didn't want to speak to me. What? That's a surprise, John. So it's got to be John Terry this week for the Premier League medals and the fact that he still claims not to be racist. He's the Willis of the week, John.
I love it. All right, wicked, good work. There's a few others that I put in the group that didn't even make it. It was a strong week. George,
it's basically we're at the stage now we can't miss pods because the backlog is
too much.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Good work.
So there's no thought that it's a feature that hasn't got any legs.
It's my favourite feature. It's my favourite feature, but you know the problem is, I struggle with bias, right? And I reckon Hard could have won it. I mean, we've done 11 pods. I reckon he could have won it 7-8 times, like every press conference is gold. And you know how I feel about Liverpool, so like any chance to jump all over them, I'm gonna grab them with both hands. So it's there. And like, let's be clear, if Arsenal beat Man United at OT, I'll be giving myself the Willis because I took a lot of greasiness, and if we win, guess his big dreadlocked mug's going to be in front of me as well. So then we're going to be giving some internal Willises if we're not careful, but there's just a lot going on.
There is. Oh, Marv, love as usual, perfect. All of that, great. G, wherever you're at, whatever in it. Don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. Your podcast for your favorite podcast platform. It's been a long day. We're on there as well. We're on the socials. We are on TikTok. We're on Instagram and Twitter as well. Subscribe, share, comment, do the thing. You know what to do. Till next week, we're out. Peace.